All right, so it looks like our waiting room is good. You all should have gotten a notification on whatever device you're using, letting you know that this meeting is being recorded. Again, we're recording so that you all that are attending can go back and get the information again later on. And for those students who aren't able to participate in today's session, they'll be able to see this on our YouTube page as well, okay? To introduce myself, my name is Andres Guardado. I'm the program coordinator for the LA and Linwood schools. So I help out at Bell High School, Huntington Park High School, and at Linwood High School. And I'll have my fellow program coordinators introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Diana Vallejo and I'm the program coordinator for the South Bay schools, and I'm at Carson, Banning, Gardena, Rancho, and Narbonne.
Hi everyone, my name is Jasmine Roman. I'm the Compton and Long Beach program coordinator. So I help out at Compton, both the main site and Roosevelt site, as well as Dominguez, Centennial, and Jordan and Cabrillo.
Awesome. All right. So just real quick before I introduce our awesome presenters, some more housekeeping things. So we're going to keep all of you participants muted. If you have any questions throughout any point in the presentation, go ahead and use the chat box feature. We'll be taking pauses throughout the workshop to make sure we're answering your questions. If for whatever reason we don't get to it when it comes up on the slides, don't worry. We'll have some time at the end to answer all our questions, and that chat box is being monitored. Okay. And if you haven't already, if you're just joining us, make sure that you're putting your full first and last name in addition to the school that you attend in the chat box, okay? So again, just remember that the session is being recorded. All of you are muted, and we'll go ahead and get started. So I'll go ahead and have the presenters introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paulina Franco, and I'm the college advisor at Huntington Park High School.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sienna Bush, and I'm the college advisor at Dominguez High School.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marvin Ramirez, and I'm a college advisor at Huntington Park High School.
All right, and then one thing that I forgot to mention right before we get started, for those of you who are joining us who are not ETS students, welcome, first off. We're really excited that you all are taking some time out of your summer vacation to get this super useful information. If you wanna join ETS, like we mentioned, or like you saw in our flyer, these types of programs are things that we do throughout the school year. It's been a little different with COVID, but we've been managing to contact all our students throughout the school year. And even now in the summer, we're constantly finding new ways to keep you all updated and informed about what's going on with college admissions and with school, okay? So if you wanna join our program, we'll go over to the next image. Some of you already provided your address on the Google form, which is awesome. So we'll be sending out those applications to you through the mail. But if you want to contact us, you can always email us at ets@csuob.edu or check out our Instagram. And we'll get to the right slide in a moment. Can we go back to number 2? There you go. So check out our Instagram. For the students who are part of the South Bay schools that Diana mentioned, your Instagram to follow is going to be at ETS CSUOB SB. And for students who are part of the LA, Linwood, Compton, and Long Beach area schools, our Instagram is at ETS Trio CSUOB. Again, if you are a new student who is interested in joining, you can email us at ets@csuob.edu or check out our website at csuob.edu/ETS. Okay, and I know you all are excited about that opportunity drawing. So when we're done with our workshop today, we'll be pulling a name from all the participants, and you will be notified via email, and we'll go ahead and announce it on our Instagram as well. Okay, so without further ado, I'll go ahead and let the presenters get started.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today and joining our very first workshop that we're going to start launching in a series of workshop Wednesdays. Today specifically, we're going to be talking about college options, specifically the 4 post-secondary options that you can see on the screen. So the first one that we're going to talk about is the California community colleges. So on the next slide, you'll be able to see some of the requirements. There's really only two requirements. So it's either being a high school student, being an 18 years old or older, and being a high school graduate. That's it. There's no catch to it. Those are really the requirements that you need in order to attend a community college. Now, as you can see on your right-hand side of the screen, there's actually 115 campuses all throughout California. So you can see they're broken up into regions. So each little dot represents a community college. And if you notice, they're mainly concentrated in the Southern California area and in the North Cal Bay area. So you definitely have options in regards to choosing a community college in California. So we're going to talk about things about the California community colleges. One of them being the tuition-free program. So most community colleges will offer some type of tuition-free program. So if you look at the screen, there's the LA College Promise. So the community colleges within the LA district, such as ELAC, LA Trade Tech, LECC, are going to offer you 2 years for free. And then you can see further down the list, you have the Long Beach College Promise at Long Beach City College, Cerritos Complete at Cerritos College, Compton College Promise, South Bay Promise at El Camino College. Again, these programs are designed for you to attend the school for free for the 2 years. Now, it's important to note that it's not an automatic guarantee. There is a process in order to get this program. So on the next slide, you'll be able to see some examples. Next slide, please.
I did change it to the next slide. You can't see it?
Oh, it's lagging on me.
That's weird.
Okay, so now you can see the examples. So on the left-hand side, you're able to see the LA College Promise requirement checklist for ELAC College, East LA College. So the very first one is applying to the school, and then you would either apply for your FAFSA or your California Dream Act, which are financial aid applications, and then you would follow that sequential line within that in order to get the tuition-free program. And it's very similar all throughout the community colleges. If you look on the right-hand side of the screen, there's a list of requirements for Cerritos Complete. Again, an example to get your 2 years for free at Cerritos College. So it's very important to determine the process for each school, as it may be different. Although it's similar, it may be different for each school. And another cool thing is that California Community Colleges offer a program called the Student Success Program, or SSSP. So what is SSSP? So SSSP is a program that's designed to help you navigate community college and be successful for our community college. You know, this is new territory, and you know, this program is designed to help you through that process. So there are 5 components that SSSP has and that provide you as services. So the very first one is orientation. Now, orientation is designed to, it's an introduction to the school, an introduction to the resources and the type of courses that are offered at the school. The second component is the assessment. So you will take an exam, and that'll determine your English and math placement at the community college. And then we're looking at the third and fourth component of educational planning, counseling, and advisement. You will be meeting with an advisor and a counselor to discuss your educational plans after community college, even throughout community college, depending on whether you want to transfer to a 4-year or you want to go into a vocational or a trade. So it's very important that you do reach out and that you are checking your emails and communicating with your advisor so that you are setting up those goals and plans. And the fifth component is the follow-up. And again, that's just meant to see where you are in the progress of your goals and your plans, and to see whether you need the extra support. And this should all sound familiar, right? Think of it as ETS at the college level, where we call you in for academic advising, go through your classes, your grades, and we set up specific goals for you in order to achieve, so that once you are a senior, you have your options in the plan of college. And again, this is not an automatic guarantee. There are certain requirements that you do need to meet, such as being a first generation and low income student. And then another cool thing are transfer programs. So what are transfer programs? So transfer programs are programs designed to help you students to transfer to a 4-year college. Each community college will have a transfer center of some sort, so it's very important to look them up. You'll probably hear from that program during your orientation, so make sure you keep an eye on that. And it gives you a better understanding of, what's expected and what you need in order to transfer to a four-year college. As far as services and benefits, you receive one-on-one transfer counseling, so understanding what that process is like, what's required of it. You get application assistance help, so actually applying to a four-year, getting that help. You are able to attend college fairs, university tours. You have workshops you can also attend and speak to university reps. An example of a specific transfer program is a Center for Community College Partnerships, also known as CCCP. Now, I do want to note that if you are wanting to pursue a vocation or a trade, such as mechanic, dental assistant, fashion designer, then a transfer program may not be for you. But if you are planning on transferring into a four-year, such as a Cal State, UC, or a private, then that would be a really cool thing to look at. So now some facts for the community colleges. So actually the California Community College is the largest system with over 2 million students in attendance. If you take 4 community college students in the nation, one of them is bound to be a California community college student. So they actually attend a community college in California. And 29% of UC graduates or University of California graduates and 51% of Cal State graduates actually start at a community college. It goes to show that, again, it just goes hand in hand with the biggest system in the nation. A lot of our graduates at the four-year start at a community college. So now we have a pop quiz time. So feel free to answer your question in the chat box. So we have 3 questions on the screen. So the first one is, how many community colleges are there in California? What is SSSP and how do they support you? And what are transfer programs? Cool, so I see, right, 115. Awesome, yeah, so there are a total of 115 campuses, community college campuses throughout California. Now, what about the second question? What is SSSP and how do they support students? Okay, yeah, SSSP is basically a college level version of ETS. Similar to ETS at the college level. Awesome. So yeah, again, like you all mentioned, it is a think of it as ETS version at the college level. It's a program designed to help you be successful at community college, and you do work with an advisor and a counselor very closely to set those goals and make sure to achieve those goals and where you want to be. And the last question, what are transfer programs? Yeah. So yeah, the transfer program allows students to transfer to a university. So you get this, you are provided with the assistance, and understanding what the transfer process is like as far as applying to a four-year college, knowing what degree you want to pursue and things like that. Awesome. So now we're going to go on to the next slide. So now we're going to play 2 videos, Trade Tech and Santa Monica.
Let me know if you guys can hear the video.
I'm at LA Trade Tech.
LA Trade Tech College.
LA Trade Tech College.
Human resource. Yes, this is the chef. Send me more people from Los Angeles Trade Technical College.
This is the most incredible place. It's the most different college campus you'll ever be on.
The students bring it in. They have so many different attitudes and personalities. You cannot help but be creative.
Trade Tech wins a tip. Aspiring sign painters come here from as far away as South Korea because Trade Tech has a program that is not available anywhere else.
This will be a fully functional, fully operational house, and the students now have real-world experience building a residential unit from the ground up.
You find that you have to make students leave the class at the end. They really want to be here and really want to pursue their craft, and it's really inspiring.
We really get our students very well connected with employers before they even leave our campus.
I'm really honored to be here tonight around so many creative people.
We want to thank LA Trade Technical College.
I am an ocean of knowledge and possibilities.
I am accessible. I am the frequency that defines culture. I am the change.
Locally and globally. I am dancing into the bright future. I am a student. I am a teacher.
I am a counselor. We are the designers of our experience.
Conscious creators of our own destiny.
Finding new directions.
We have no fear. We thrive in a culture of awareness and togetherness. We are a society of enlightenment.
We are world-class professors
who believe in the power of the human connection to create a better world. We choose
intellectual exploration
and culturally diverse collaboration.
I draw from the sea of inspiration and sow seeds to create a sustainable future.
We choose sustainability. We choose to be one with our world, to connect with the global community. We bring the world's best artists to Los Angeles, and we never stop learning. We choose this pathway to success.
I choose will and dedication.
I choose personal growth.
One class
at a time.
I am proud to be SMC.
So my name is Corey. I'm a college advisor over at Jordan High School. Those are actually really cool videos. But I wanted to share my experience because I'm a transfer student myself. I attended Palomar College and Miracosta College. I was class of 2014 when I graduated high school. And I attended school from fall 2014 to spring 2019. I commuted when I went to community college, and that was about 5 years. I'm a first generation college student myself. My parents don't have bachelor's degrees, so I spent those 4 or 5 years learning about college and figuring out things I wanted to do, didn't want to do. And I majored in mechanical engineering, and I spent a lot of time at the STEM Center. I actually did a NASA community college program that's specific to community college students, which is, we want to advise you guys to really look outside of school to extracurriculars, because those can really propel you, help build your resume and stuff. I transferred to Cal State Long Beach last fall, debt-free, because I went to community college, and my expected graduation is fall 2021. And I wanted to share with you guys not only my community college experience, but also some of the biggest lessons I learned. So the biggest lesson, I think, is to stay at least full-time. When you guys start college, you want to, I think the best thing to do, 12 units minimum. That's full-time every semester. And you want to work part-time, save your money. Don't let money worries stop you. You have a lot of programs like FAFSA. You can apply for scholarships right now while you're in school, while you're a part of ETS. I didn't send any college applications out of my senior year because I thought I couldn't pay for it. My parents couldn't pay for it. Probably one of the biggest regrets of my life. But it works out because you can pay for it. You can go apply for financial aid. And yeah, definitely look at community college as an affordable option. Always meet with your counselors every semester. Stay on track with your education plan. Don't deviate. You want to get out of there in 4 years. Meet with them. Make sure you're on track. Those are some of the coolest experiences I had, was meeting with my counselors. And just do it at least once a year or every semester or so. And don't worry about the time it takes. A degree at 25 is a degree at 65 is a degree. Push yourself to learn more, be better, enjoy college, and never give up. It's really about that. And you learn a lot about yourself in college, and just want to share my experience with you guys.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Corey. I really liked your biggest lessons learned because I feel like a lot of students should know those. So now we're going to talk about the California State University. So as you can see from the map, there are 23. So pretty much all the way from NorCal to Southern California. So some of the ones that you might know are like Cal State LA, Cal State Dominguez Hills, Cal State Long Beach, Pomona, Northridge, and those are just some of the ones that are closest to us. Okay, so let's talk about CSU eligibility requirements. So the first requirement is that you have to have a minimum of a 2.0 GPA. But some CSUs require a different GPA. So you all want to be aware of this when you're picking the schools that you want to apply for. Because some schools like CSU LA, they have a 2.7 GPA. So you just want to make sure that wherever you decide to go, that you look up that separately. But we encourage everyone, if you can get maybe like over 2.5, that would be great. But the higher, the better. So just keep that in mind. And then for the SAT and ACT scores, technically those are no longer required, but for the class of 2021. So as of now, it's just that class. However, ETS, we recommend that you take it at least once for placement purposes. So once you apply to your school and you're enrolling or registering into your classes, they need to figure out what classes you're going to take. So for things like English or math, they need to figure out what classes to place you in so they can use your SAT and ACT scores in addition to the grades that you already have. So we just highly recommend that if you're able to take those tests, to take them. And then the next part is your 15 A through G courses. So most of you should know what the A through G courses are. It's like your English, math, science, your history classes, foreign language, and then your electives. So you want to make sure that you complete those 15 classes with a C or better. If you don't get a C or better, you might have to retake that class or take another class to make up for it, but you just want to make sure that you get that completed. For some of your classes now, because of coronavirus, you might receive a pass or a credit grade for that class. So you just want to make sure that it does satisfy the A through G requirement, and that if you do take it within the winter, the spring, or the summer of 2020, that it won't count towards your GPA. So you'll get credit for it, but your GPA is not going to increase or decrease. So keep that in mind. And then lastly, they're also going to look at supplemental factors. So things like if you took more A through G's than you were supposed to, because that shows that you're trying to exceed the minimum, that you're trying to challenge yourself, or household income, so your parents' household income or your guardians, then extracurricular activity or involvement, so if you play any sports, you're in any clubs, volunteer work or work experience too. And then all of those will be used to see what your admission decision is going to be. So those are the eligibility requirements, but this is the actual application process. So the first thing you need to do is to gather all of your information. So that means your personal information, like your social security number, your birthday, your address, all of that. Somebody asked, what does household income mean? So that just means that like your parent or your guardian, however much money they get from their jobs, like whatever their income is from their jobs, or maybe a different type of income, that would be like combine that, and that would be your household income. So like I'll use myself as an example. My mom, she's a teacher, and my dad, he works in like insurance. So I would combine how much income they both get, and that would be my household income. I hope that answered your question. Someone else asked what the class of 2022 can expect. Honestly, we're not sure yet. Everything's changing every day, so we don't have a guaranteed answer, but I assure you, like, as soon as we get that information, we will let you all know. So the first thing, like I said, is to gather your personal information, gather your parents' information. Once again, the household income, so what we just went over. You might need your transcripts, your resume, brag sheet. So if you don't know what a brag sheet is, it's basically a sheet where you have like all of your, you could put your grades on it. So like your grades, your accomplishments, maybe if you have work experience, your clubs, how long you've been in those clubs. If you play a sport and you're like team captain, it's pretty much a document stating everything that you've done throughout like your high school career. So you would just go down like the line. So 9th grade, you did this, 10th grade, you did this, 11th grade, you did this. So that's pretty much what a brag sheet is. But if you need help, we can offer you the brag sheet that we've created, like an ETS one, and we can help you through that process. So number 2 is to begin your application. So you would just go to Cal State Apply. There's the link, and when we share this PowerPoint, you'll be able to go to that link. But basically, you would just go to that link and begin your application. So it's going to ask you for like your name, your birthday, your email, things like that. And then the third part is to select the campuses that you're going to apply for. So based on your eligibility, the CSU system, it'll actually decide if you have the option of receiving 4 free fee waivers. So what this means is that determined by like factors such as your household income or how many people live in your individual house and receive support from either your parent or your guardian, they're going to figure out if you can apply to 4 schools for free. So if you meet their qualifications, then you will get 4 free fee waivers. If you don't, then you'll have to pay out of pocket for the schools that you want to apply to. Now, if you want to apply to more than 4, you can do that. And if you get the fee waivers, you can do that 4 for free, and then you can pay for the other one. But it just depends. So you'll find that out once you're done inputting all your information. And I believe it's either right after you input your information for the fee waivers or at the very end. So you'll see that. But basically, you'll pick your campuses that you want to apply to, and then you'll move on and pick your majors after that. So step 4 is to complete the entire application. So this is very important because if you miss any part of the application, that could possibly cause some problems. And you want to make sure that you have like an ETS advisor or another college center staff member check it and review your application, because sometimes there are errors, or maybe you did something or you weren't sure about something and you saved it, but you didn't come back to it. We just want to make sure that everything is complete and ready to go so that it's a successful submission. And then 5, submit it and then feel accomplished, because technically this is the next step of like your college career, like you applying, that's a big step in itself. So just feel accomplished, and we want to encourage you all to do it as early as possible. The application priority, like filing period for the application, is from October 1st to November 30th. But we do want to make sure that you guys don't wait till the last minute. So do not wait till November 30th. Do it before that, because sometimes things happen. Sometimes the system might crash. Sometimes, you know, things come up. So just make sure you do it ahead of time. Okay, so CSU Impaction, a lot of you probably don't know what this is, but I'm going to try to break it down and simplify it as well as I can. So impaction just happens when like a school or a specific major receives more qualified applicants than they have space for. So for example, if they have like a nursing program and they only have 100 spots, but 150 people apply, that's impacted, or that program would be impacted. So impacted schools and majors, they are allowed to increase the acceptance requirements so that they can make sure that the people or the students who will be the most successful in the program will be accepted. And we're going to reference a CSU Impaction handout, and we're going to give you guys the link as well so that you can see what schools are impacted and what majors are impacted. But just keep this in mind that even if it is impacted, it doesn't mean not to apply to your school. You still apply, but just have like a backup plan. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so is the link in the chat box for them? If not, you can see the link right here at the top. Okay, there it goes. So you all can go to the link in the chat box and click it if you want a bigger version of this. But here you can see at the top. So here at the very top of the matrix, they're all the schools. So all the schools are right here with their names. And then on the left side, you have the majors, okay? So once again, at the top is the schools and on the left side is the majors. Now, if you take one of the majors and line it up with the school that you want to go to, and you see that there's like that O or that circle, that means that that major is open and it's offered. So that program is offered at that school and it is not impacted. Now, if you see a red line, I think you all can see that, that means that it is impacted. So you want to be aware of that. If you see a green N, that just means that there's a note on this second page. So the second page to your right, that means that there's a note about the school or possibly about the program that you want to be aware of. And then lastly, the schools at the top, some of them have like a red asterisk or like a star by it. If it has a red star by it, that means that all of their programs at that school are impacted. So hopefully that makes sense for you all, and I kind of broke it down so that you can understand like what impaction means and how to tell what schools or what majors are impacted. Okay, so next we're going to talk about educational opportunity programs. So clearly the CCs or the community colleges, they have something similar to ETS, and we like to think of EOP as an ETS for college students as well. And that's because it's an academic support program. So basically they're here to help you all be successful in college. They offer like scholarships, mentors, sometimes they have like individual meetings, advisors. So you want to make sure that you do apply to EOP. And there's the EOP link right there. So basically, you would apply through your CSU application. So the same application that I was talking about earlier on Cal State Apply. And all you have to do is answer 5 short answer questions. So those questions are usually going to be about you, your family background, extracurricular activities, and things like that. So basically, you would just answer those questions. Then you're also going to be asked for 2 letters of recommendation. Now, this is very important. So if you didn't listen to anything else that I said, listen to this part. So for the letters of recommendation, you want to ask somebody who's like reliable. So like a teacher or a coach or maybe a mentor, but you don't want to ask like a friend or family. And then unfortunately, your ETS advisors, we're not allowed to write those letters for you. However, we can help you maybe figure out who you want to write those letters for you. And once you pick the person, you have to go in your application, insert their name, I believe their title and their email, and they will receive a link so that they can complete your letter of recommendation. After they receive that link, they have to fill out the actual letter and then submit it. So the submission part is really important because sometimes people or the person who's recommending you, they don't actually submit it, and the students, they're not aware of that. So they submit their application and they think that it was submitted, like the letter of recommendation was submitted and it wasn't. So the good thing is that you can go on your CSU application and check if the person submitted it or not. And then if they didn't, you might want to like remind them or follow up. So that's why we have you guys ask for these letters ahead of time. So like a week is not enough time because your teachers, they're busy, they have a lot going on too. So you might want to do like 3 weeks before, 4 weeks before, just to give them enough time for them to do it and for you to follow up. So if you have any questions about letters of rec, just let us know. But just make sure that 1, you do it on time and early enough, and 2, that you make sure that they actually submitted their letter of rec. And then they also ask for other documents. So they might ask for like your parents' financial documents. And then some schools like Northridge, they do actual interviews. So they have you come in and they interview you to see if you would qualify or be a good candidate for EOP. And then the link to the questions, like I said, I believe it's in the chat box, but there's also the link for when you receive this PowerPoint. And then lastly, we have our CSU facts. So some of these are reasons why I actually decided to go to a CSU, especially number 2. But first off, the CSU system drives California's economy in agriculture, information technology, business, hospitality, life sciences, healthcare, public administration, education, media, and entertainment. So if you are interested in any of those, you might want to think of any CSUs or some of the CSUs that you might be interested in, so that you can have like a career or go into a field that's related to those on that list. And then number two, so CSUs educate the most ethnically, economically, and academically diverse student body in the nation. And like I said, that's one of the reasons why I decided to go to San Diego State, because I went there on a tour and I was like, oh, it's so diverse. And like, I don't know, it just, I like the diversity about it because it kind of reminded me of like LA, because I'm from LA. So just keep that in mind too. Like if you were interested in going to a diverse schools, CSUs might be a better option for you. And then a lot of them provide hands-on experience for students so that they can apply the knowledge that they learn in the classroom in like real life or real world problems or different experiences. So if you want to be like maybe a teacher and you want to take what you learn and be able to be like a teacher's assistant, you can do that. It just depends on what you want to major in or what you want to do. And then lastly, they're known for being affordable and having flexible class offering. So if you want something that is more affordable, which is also why I picked San Diego State, even though that's one of the most expensive ones. But my point is CSUs are more affordable if you want to go with that option. So like Marvin, we also have a pop quiz for you all.
Sienna, we
So
also have a question. Sorry.
Oh, what's the question?
Yes. So someone asked for letters of recommendation for the EOP portion. Are we going to be able to read what the teacher wrote?
No, you won't be. Well, at least the students that I've worked with, they weren't. But I know at the bottom it has like that question where it asks you if you waive your rights to see it. But I've never known a student to actually see the letter of rec, only because it's actual questions. So they ask questions about you. It's not like an actual letter. Does that make sense? So it's not like a letter that you can put in an envelope. It's mostly they have to answer these questions about you. So like about your attitude or your work ethic, things like that. So I doubt you're going to be able to see it.
And then someone asked about class sizes at CSU.
Well, it depends on your major and it depends on the class. So I've been in classes that have been 500 people, and those are like my GE. So I took a communication class and a bio class that was 500 people. But then I've also been in classes that have been like 15 people, but those were for my specific major. Or they might have been for something like an AFRAS class, so like an Africana Studies class. So it depends. Most classes won't be 500. I might have had like one that was 500 and then the rest be like maybe 30 people. So it just all depends.
And then someone asked if we know any good CSUs that have criminal justice.
Oh, a lot of them. Okay, I know some of my friends went to San Diego State for criminal justice. I don't know if any of the rest of you might have majored in it or you know people from other schools if you want to like chime in.
So I believe Kevin is from from HP. So Cal State LA actually does have a criminology program, I believe, that is pretty strong. And then they also have a graduate school for that same area. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Cal State LA is your local area school for HP. So you might want to check that one out.
Yeah, I highly recommend that you do your own research. So before I decided like what major I wanted to do, I chose like 5 that I was interested in. And then I actually researched them at each school. And then you can see sometimes what classes you have to take for each major. And that helped me figure out like which one I wanted to do. So doing your own research can help a lot as well. Is that all the questions?
Yes, and someone recommended San Jose State. And I'm also including a link in the chat box where you can actually search different Cal States and the different majors and what degrees they offer.
Can we actually go back to 5. Okay, so the first question is how many CSUs are there? Oh, that was fast. Okay. Yes, there are 23. Good job. Okay. The next question, I actually can't read it. Oh, why should you still take the SAT and ACT? Replacement. Yeah, good. You guys are fast. Okay, good, good. For class placement, math and English. I'm seeing all these pop up so far. Okay, well, you guys who were listening, I'm glad you were listening. Okay, and then the next one is, what is one of the eligibility requirements for CSUs? Okay. Okay, GPA. That is a record for EOP. Yeah, thank you, Jasmine. A through G requirements, C or better, good. 2.0. Okay. Well, A through G requirements. So you don't, I just want to be clear, you don't technically need your 2 letters of rec for the eligibility, but for your application, yes, you do. Because some people, like I didn't get EOP, I still apply, but I didn't get EOP, so technically that's not an eligibility requirement. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. But you guys did good. So thank you for listening to my portion, and we are going to move on to our videos. So one video is clearly, I've been talking about San Diego State this whole time. It's San Diego State, and that's actually one of my friends. He was the president of like our entire university. And then the other one is for Long Beach State.
Hi, I'm Christian Owuka, your student body president here at San Diego State University. Today, I want to share with you the top reasons why students chose SDSU. I chose SDSU because once I stepped on campus, I instantly felt accepted for who I am as a person, including my inner self. And this was a place where I could truly grow my potential while being supported and embraced. SDSU instantly felt like home. Here's some more reasons why you'll love SDSU. Our beautiful campus location. The active student life. The rigorous academic programs. Our diverse and inclusive community. And our vibrant SDSU spirit. Now that you know why students chose SDSU, why don't you come see for yourself? Sign up for a campus tour today and start imagining yourself here.
We can see them in the books we read. Where else can we see
Okay. So this is a little bit of my experience at State. So all 4 years, I either dormed or I had an on-campus apartment, which I kind of preferred because I could just like take my bike or walk to my classes, which was very convenient. For my educational experience, I did have to maintain over a 3.5 GPA because I had a scholarship. So some of you might get a scholarship, and then might have like a GPA requirement that you'll have to maintain in order to continue to get that money either for that year or every other year. So we just want to make sure that you are highly encouraged to apply to your university scholarships because the one I got was like 20,000. So usually those, they have a larger amount. And a lot of people don't apply for them, to be honest. So you'll have a better chance of getting them. And then I put time management because in high school I was horrible at time management, and college made that, like, college put me in check because I had to figure out, like, okay, do I do like my schoolwork here? Do I do like my sorority this time? It just, you have to learn how to prioritize your time for like every single, yes, San Diego State does have nursing. You have to figure out how to prioritize your time for every single thing that you do. So if you're involved in extracurricular activities, you have to figure that out, but make sure that school comes first. So speaking of extracurricular activities, I was in Delta, or I'm still in Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, but I was the president and the treasurer for them. So that was a great experience because I gained sisters that are like my best friends to this day with that experience. I was a peer leadership consultant, so I basically gave workshops to college students on things like time management. What scholarship were you part of? It was a leadership scholarship, so my minor was leadership, and basically I don't want to say forced me to be a peer leadership consultant, but it was kind of like I was working at the same time because I worked and did that for them. But I was also getting the scholarship money, so it kind of made up for it. And I also enjoyed doing that. And I majored in communications, and then I minored in leadership. So being a communication major, that was fun too, because I learned how to like read people's body language. Thank you, Jasmine. How to read people's body language, how to interact in interviews. With communication, you learn a lot about just talking to people, observing people. So I enjoyed that. And then I was on a retention and recruitment group, so I helped with basically recruiting African American students from different high schools and then figuring out what we needed to do to make sure that they stayed in school. And then I was a member of two clubs, so the African Student Union and then the African American Sisterhood. And then I was also a mentor and a tutor and a college advisor. So similar to what I do in San Diego. Oh, did somebody Okay. And then the favorite things about the campus. So we had a bowling alley, and my friends and I would go there all the time. We had lots of food options, and my sister, she goes there now. She's gonna be a sophomore there next year. They've expanded it, so she has way more than I had when I was there. And then they have a 24/7 library. So if I needed to study, remember time management. If I had to study at 2 o'clock in the morning, I was in that library studying at 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's a summary of my college experience. And if you do have questions, I'm totally open to it. So yeah, just let me know. What classes did you take as a requirement, but also for fun? For fun? For fun. Okay, I took this might not sound fun, but I took an Africana Studies class that focused on like African American history, but we did like a lot of writing, so we got to write our own stories. And then I took a communications class where you do speeches and you could talk about, like I had to talk about a bear that I got when I was like 1. So I had to bring the bear to school or to the class, and I had to give like a whole speech on it. So that class was actually pretty fun. But yeah, my first couple years, I mainly took my GE, so like a math class, science, history, a religion class, pretty much the basics. And then my junior and my senior year, I took like more communications classes for those 2 years. So I had like 3 communication classes. I hope they answered your question. But they also offer classes like yoga and rock climbing, just so you know.
Okay, now I get to talk about my experience on Humboldt State. So with Humboldt State, I actually dormed my freshman year, and then my last 3 years, I actually lived off campus, and it was pretty cool. My apartment wasn't that far from campus, so I was able to walk and get to class within 10 minutes. So I actually didn't have to buy a parking pass for all of my time at Humboldt. So that was, really good for my pocket. As far as my involvement on campus, I did get involved with the Learning Center. So I was a math tutor for 2 years, tutoring all subjects from math, coming from algebra to differential equations, abstract algebra, any math topic you can really think of. I also did work as a summer bridge mentor. So during the summer, we had a week-long activity for our new incoming EOP students, where we would show them around the campus, provide them with orientation, with resources, and then we would take them around the community just to look at the sceneries, look at what's available for them to explore on their own time. I was also a peer mentor throughout the academic year, my senior year. So I was working with a caseload of 20 students that I would meet one-on-one, kind of similar to ETS. Except with the exception, I wouldn't pull them from class. I would set those appointments, and we would meet at a agreed time at a specific place on campus, and discuss anything from the transition coming from high school into college, the academics, and then any support that I was able to provide them and point them to around campus. And at the same time, I was also a pre-calc and a trig supplemental instruction, or an SI instructor. So that was designed to help students to get that supplemental support and help them out with their math classes when they started at Humboldt. So that was pretty cool. Actually, that's where I started my teaching experience, working in the classroom. And that's when I always loved math. I majored in math. So I think that was just kind of like, a way for me to express and, give back in a way that I was able to love. And, and also just help students, love math too, because sometimes math can be this subject where it's like, oh man, math, I don't want to take math, but, it was part of my way to, show them, math can be fun. And that was exactly what I was there for. Make it in a way that's fun and where students can understand and it sticks. As far as the favorite things about Humboldt, there's too many to choose from. One of the things that comes to mind is this very close support system with EOP. So in working with EOP, they actually became like my second family away from home. Being 616 miles away, I wasn't able to just go back home on the weekend. So having that support system and support network to lean on was very helpful in times where I just felt defeated and, didn't want to continue. They had my back, and that's something that I really appreciate and thankful for them. The classroom sizes were small. I think my biggest classroom size was 150. That was a political science class. And then my smallest class size was 5. So that was for my major course, my senior year. It was really fun. I really got to enjoy that class. It was very hands-on. It wasn't really just lecture-based. It was very hands-on project-based. Because the campus was so small, you also get to build the relationship with your professors. You get to know them, on a one-on-one, more of a, personal level. I actually got to work out with one of my professors my junior year, so that was actually pretty fun. And, we still keep in touch to this day. So, the bonds that you do create is something that, will continue after you graduate as well. And then the other thing was, with that class, that was only 5 of us. Our final was to go to our professor's house. He and his wife cooked us dinner, and we got to play a bunch of math games and just, talk about anything that we really wanted. So, that was something fun that I like, away from like, traditional, or you go into the classroom and you're going to take a final exam. We worked hard throughout the semester, I'm not going to lie, but that was kind of his way of showing his appreciation and, showing us that, it's fun. School can be fun. It doesn't have to be all about lecture, and test. And then one of the other things I really did like was the scenery. Just like, come on, like, look at those views right there. In the dorm, the forest wasn't my backyard. So if I just wanted to, take a study break, I was able to leave my dorm and go to my backyard, and I was in the community forest. So that was pretty cool. And then it's very biker friendly. So I was able to ride my bike everywhere. ride my bike to campus within 5 minutes, go to the beach within, 15, 20 minutes, and just travel anywhere on bike. And getting to see these views was just something that I really enjoyed and I miss to this day. So yeah, just a little bit about my experience at Humboldt.
Marvin, we had two questions. How was it moving to Humboldt and going to school far away from home? And then a follow-up of why did you decide to stop dorming after your first year?
So how was it moving? It was hard. My first year was extremely difficult because again, it wasn't like I was able to go home for the weekend. It takes 12 hours just to get there in car. So, that's essentially, most of your day just to get there. So I think the hard part was not being able to go home. I did get homesick within the first month and I did contemplate on going back, but again, with having EOP as a support network and having them to lean on, that helped me stay on campus. And again, speaking with my professors, that was something that also was very intimidating, but because again, the small classroom size, they are approachable, they do get to approach you. So initially it was very hard for me, but once I was able to find my support network and I found my belonging, I found that I belonged there. So, the last 3 years are fun. I mean, yeah, of course I missed home, but it wasn't to the extent of my first year where I was like just contemplating on going back home. And why did I just have to stop dorming? Honestly, it was way cheaper to live off campus than on campus. And yeah, I just wanted to have fun, so I'll just leave it at that. Price-wise, it was cheaper and, have a lot more freedom living off campus.
I think that's it, right? Do you have anything else to add, Marvin, before I continue?
No, that's all.
All right, awesome. So I'll take over now. Now I'm going to talk about the UC system. That's every school that begins with the UC. Here on this map, you'll see that there's 9 different UCs. And some of the ones around us are UCLA, UC Riverside, and UC Irvine. UC San Diego and UC Santa Barbara are not too far from here either. So that's something to consider as well if you're trying to go a little bit further from home, but not too far where you'll have trouble coming home for the holidays or anything like that. These are 9 different schools that you get to pick from. So now the UC eligibility. So the minimum requirement for the UC system is having a 3.0 GPA. So you must have a 3.0, but obviously we encourage you, the better, the higher the better. And again, with the SAT and the ACT scores, they're test optional. You will not be penalized if you do not submit SAT or ACT scores. However, ETS students, we are encouraging you that you take these tests. We want you to be competitive candidates, and we want you to be able to use these tests. And of course, if they're going to get you a better opportunity to get into these schools, then why not? If time allows it. So some of the ways that these scores can be used for would be admissions, scholarships. So there can be certain scholarships that can ask you for SAT scores and will probably boost up your opportunities. And post-enrollment course placement, which I just mentioned, and Sienna mentioned earlier for the CSU system. They can use that to consider what math or English class you'll be placed in. The other thing would be your A through G course completion, which you should probably all know by now. And then the other thing is the personal insight questions. So we will add a link of the personal insight questions. These are super, super important. We recommend that you start as soon as possible answering these personal insight questions and getting them reviewed by either a ETS advisor or maybe even an older sibling that's been through the process or a teacher. However, we don't recommend that you get it reviewed by too many people because then you'll get a lot of opinions and that just makes it really difficult for you to pick and choose what you should and shouldn't put in your PIQ, short for personal insight questions. Those are super important, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be more important now that SAT and ACT scores are test optional. So make sure you click on the link for that. I'm pretty sure Jasmine will probably add that, or it's already there. The other thing is extracurricular activities. So there are 20 slots in the application for you to put these extracurricular activities. We want you to fill it out, but obviously not everyone has 20 extracurricular activities. But we recommend they start writing them down now, because a lot of students tend to forget that they did something in the 9th grade. You're now a junior and you might have done something during the 9th grade that you completely forgot about. That's something you can put in extracurricular activities. So definitely have an agenda, have some sort of notebook that you're gonna keep. You're not gonna lose. You can use it for your passwords as well, for all your application passwords, where you're gonna start writing down everything you've done from 9th grade till now. So even small things, that you were part of a youth group for your church, you were, you did beach cleanups with a certain club, anything like that, start writing it down. And if you want to verify, you can always verify with your ETS advisor, and they'll definitely help you with that.
We have a question. Can we add extracurriculars we did in elementary school?
So the UC application only expects you to put extracurricular activities from high school. However, if you're still involved in the same curricular activity that you did in elementary until now, then that's something you can put, but they expect you to only put stuff that you're doing in high school. Are there any other questions?
Nope, that was it. And then personal insight questions are only for UC schools, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So now the application process. So the cost for the application process is $70 per UC. So there are fee waivers available for ETS students. And the way you'd get a fee waiver is by, the way we did it before is if you register for the SAT or the ACT and you get that fee waiver for free, you would print a copy of that. Your ETS advisor can lead you through this because it's a lot of little steps. But then you would be able to get a fee waiver for the UC system, and you would be able to get 4 fee waivers for the UC system. So that's how many you're able to apply to. However, if you do decide on applying to any more than 4, then you would be having to pay out of pocket. The application process does this thing called the holistic review. It's 14 different factors. There's also a link provided in this presentation for that, if you're interested in going through every single factor that they're taking into consideration. And that would be, some of the more important ones are the ones I just mentioned, which would be your test scores, optional again, but recommended. Extracurricular activities, personal insight questions, your GPA, and your academic rigor. So academic rigor, what does that mean? It means that you are taking the competitive classes at your school. You're taking AP classes at your school. We prefer that you challenge yourself with AP and honor courses as opposed to taking what's called like the easy way out and getting A's all throughout your high school career. So we prefer that you challenge yourself and maybe get a B in an AP course or an honors course, because it's going to show that you actually went out of your way and wanted to demonstrate that you tried harder and you wanted to challenge yourself academically. Stuff on the chat box. Is there any questions?
Someone asked, is USC a UC school?
No. So USC is a private school. Yeah, that was answered. Cool. And we will go over later. All right. So these are the UC tiers. There are 3 tiers. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It just means that some of them are a little bit more competitive to get into. So tier 1 has a 14 to 30% admission rate, and those are schools UC Berkeley, UCLA, and UC Irvine. Tier 2 is 30 to 40% admission rate, and that's UC San Diego, UC Santa Barbara, and UC Davis. Tier 3 is a 40 to 60% admission rate. That's UC Riverside, UC Merced, and UC Santa Cruz. So what we usually recommend our students is to apply broadly from all of them so that you're able to kind of have backups. So you want to apply to maybe one of each, and then your 4th one can be any choice of yours, just so that you're able to have a backup and maybe not apply to all tier 1 schools, and then maybe possibly be disappointed at the end. So apply broadly. And this is all going to be shared with you, so you don't have to like write it. Oops, my watch just went out. You don't have to write these down, but they will be shared with you. All right, so some of the UC facts. So I used it as if the UC system was 100 students, so you can get a better image of these facts. So if the UC system were 100 students, 42 of the students would be first generation students. 61 are involved in a student organization. I was personally involved in a student organization when I was at UC Santa Cruz. I'll talk to you a little bit about that later. 76% or 76 students participate in undergraduate research. This is something that I highlighted because many students ask me, or I like to point out to students that the UC system doesn't mean that it's better than the Cal State system. And if you want to be able to determine which school may be right for you, this is one thing that the UC system does that is huge. They are big on research. So if you're looking to maybe participate in research, then maybe the UC system is for you. So that's maybe one thing to consider when picking a school. 54 do community service, 48 have tuition and fees fully covered. So that's half, so that's a pretty good amount of students getting their tuitions covered. And some of the support programs available at the UC system. So not all of them have EOP, like the CSU system where you have to apply. The ones that do have EOP, you'll just click a button if you want to join EOP. You don't have to do an application like the CSU system. You would just have to qualify under the requirements and you would be automatically in if space allows. But here are some different names of different programs, just so you become familiar with them. I don't expect everyone to remember these, but start getting familiar with these names because it varies depending on which UC you decide to go to. So there's SSS, there's SOAR for UCI, First to Go for UCLA, Trio Scholars Programs for UCR, and OASIS for UCSD. So
then we have a couple of questions, Paulina. So someone asked, do Cal States have undergraduate research opportunities?
Yeah, so they do have undergraduate research opportunities. I just highlight it for the UC system because they're more known for their research and more students are usually involved in research than other schools.
And then this question's a little bit more for us, but if we complete all 6 Zoom meetings, will it count as an extracurricular? So that was asked in the chat as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically, this is an opportunity just because of the situation we're going through right now. We try to come up with a different opportunity for you guys to be able to continue getting extracurricular activities. So yes, if you attend all 6 Zoom meetings, you will be able to put this in your college applications.
And you will be receiving a certificate if you do attend all 6 sessions.
All right, so now is how many UCs are there? And this can be a trick question, okay. But I didn't make it a trick question. So yeah, there's actually 10 UCs, but yes, there's 9 that you can apply to. Someone put 10. There's only 9 you can apply to. The 10th one is UC San Francisco, and that one is a master level program, so you won't be applying to that one. What's the cost per UC application? Oh, perfect. Awesome, so it seems like everybody has that down. Okay, cool. So now I will put these little videos on. And let me see if my sound. Yeah. Oh no.
This is a place for those who see things differently. The ones determined to follow a greater vision. Who refuse to accept the way things are and are unafraid to explore another way. It's a place for those who believe that we will go further together. We're not just thinking about the future.
I think I saw check mark.
We are building it. Building a future in the belief that there is nothing that can't be improved. That we can keep pushing the standard of excellence by stepping into uncharted territory. That pioneering spirit is what separates us from the rest. It's what moves us forward. So let's keep exploring. Keep searching for a better way. A way that challenges the status quo, enriches our lives, and lifts us all up. Let's continue to discover, design, innovate,
more initial velocity,
lead,
you give this school a good name,
and empower. Because what we do here today, together, will shape the world of tomorrow. And it's that vision that makes us who we are. We are UC Merced.
All right, so now I'll talk a little bit about my experience at UC Santa Cruz. So I dormed all 4 years at UC Santa Cruz. I thought it was too inconvenient for me to move off campus personally. I had a job on campus, so I would just walk to my job, and it took me like 5 minutes to get there. In all my classes I would walk to. However, our campus is huge. It's known to be in a forest. So whenever you would have class, you would basically be hiking to class, which was actually pretty cool. I really like that. You never get used to it because it is very tiring every time. My educational experience at UC Santa Cruz, my first 2 years were a little difficult as a first generation student, I would say. But it took me looking for the resources, and I did have the resources at hand. However, it was I was shy in the beginning. I had a lot of difficulty kind of getting accustomed to the campus. However, with the help of EOP and a lot of my peers, because we had a peer mentoring program, I was able to do better academically and be able to find the help that I needed to succeed. Support as a first generation student, I was in EOP, like I mentioned. It's not like ETS where they call you in, you have to go in there and seek help if you needed to. But it was tailored toward you. So any academic advising, they would help you with any different routes. If you wanted to change majors, they would be able to help you with that as well. If you had small questions about maybe switching classes, they were able to be there for me. And then that's what was able to help me get through my 4 years of college. For financial aid, I was offered a good amount of money, I believe. I only got one loan every year, so I didn't come out owing too much out of UC Santa Cruz. However, that was a couple of years ago. Things have changed. So that's why we encourage you all to continue applying to scholarships and making sure that you are consistent with those, because a small amount will go a long way when it comes to, especially dorming, if you decide to dorm far. That's the part that's a little bit more difficult. Usually tuition will be covered, but the dorming part won't. Life outside of campus. So some of the cool things about UC Santa Cruz were, like I mentioned, UC Santa Cruz is in a forest, but we had the beach 10 minutes away. So it was just a drive down, and we had the beach boardwalk. It is a small town. There's no like malls around or anything like that. There is a mall, but it's about 30 to 40 minutes out. But it's a small town that to me was good enough. I didn't need like this. It is a city. I would say it is a city, but it's a small city. I didn't need like the LA traffic congestion around me. And I think my favorite thing about UC Santa Cruz was being able to have the best of both worlds, which was the beach and the forest all at once. So that was really cool. And the other thing was being able to be involved in some organizations. So one of the ones that I was involved in was Hermanas Unidas. I was in that organization for 3 years, and I was treasurer for Hermanas Unidas for 2 years. And it was one of the best experiences because I was able to be around the people that look like me and are like me, which is like Latinx people. And that was a really good experience for me, and it helped me get through college.
We do have 2 questions in the chat box. The first one is, are on-campus jobs hard to come by? And the second is, what did you major in?
So I majored, well, I realized I didn't mention that on my slide. So I majored in sociology and I minored in education. And on-campus job. So yeah, my first year I decided not to get a job or look for a job just because I wanted to get used to the environment. So I wanted to make sure that I'm good academically before I try to take on more things. So I was able to do that. And then my second year was when my mom was kind of like, hey, Paulina, you need to get a job. You can't be asking me for pizza money every Friday. So that's when I decided to look for a job, and it took me about a month. But it does depend what kind of job you're looking for. For example, I was working at the dining hall, and I really liked it because it was super flexible, and they knew you were a student before you were a worker. So they were super considerate in terms of like changing your schedule when it was finals time. They had a really cool system where you can just put up your shift and someone else would take it over, or if you wanted to pick up extra shifts. So that was really cool. And it was also cool because I was able to work with other students. And the other job I had was a peer mentor. So I was working as a TA as well with, it was a peer mentor / TA with a professor. And that one was really cool as well because I was able to professionally develop. It wasn't too difficult, but I did know other people who struggled looking for a job. So I think it was more about me being consistent and fast and applying and, continue applying.
And then we had, what are some of the school's most popular majors? So at UC Santa Cruz, do you know what majors were very popular?
Computer science and computer engineering. Those are huge at UC Santa Cruz and super competitive. I've heard it's gotten more difficult to get into those majors there. And I also believe it's very competitive because it's very close to the Silicon Valley, which is where a lot of STEM majors go and get jobs after they graduate.
And then what kind of jobs can you get with the sociology major?
So you can get a lot of jobs. That's why I decided on sociology. But personally, I decided to take the counseling route. So I just finished my master's in school counseling. So I'll be looking for a job as a school counselor. My personal preference would be a high school counselor. So that would be what I would want to do. But I know a lot of sociology majors who went other routes. Some of them are in economics, some of them are in like business, some of them decided to become teachers, or many other things. So sociology is very broad to a point where you can kind of just take a different route after graduating.
And then someone asked, what's the difference between a major and a minor? Do you have to do both?
No, so you don't have to do both. The difference between a major and a minor. So the major would be that you're focusing more on those classes that you're going to take, and that's going to be what your diploma is going to be titled. A minor would be if you decide there's something else that you're interested in doing and you want to take not as many courses as you are with your major. It's usually less than half. So let's say you need 20 for sociology. You would probably need around 5 to 8 classes for your minor. I personally ended up liking my minor more than my major, and that's why I'm in the education field now. So I would, if you have the space for it, I would recommend that you get a minor because it kind of allows you to expand your opportunities and get to know other areas. And there's also such thing as double majoring, so you can always have 2 majors if time allows, because some majors are more, they expect more from you and there are more classes that it kind of makes it hard and maybe you won't be able to be done in 4 years.
And then someone asked, is UC Santa Cruz a good school for students who want to pursue a career in the medical field?
So UC Santa Cruz, I know actually many people who went into the medical field, but it depends what kind of medical field. So they don't offer pre-med at UC Santa Cruz. The people that I know who went into the medical field would go and major in biology or human biology, and then would make sure that they're taking the right courses in order for them to apply to a medical school afterwards. But yes, it does depend what kind of medical field you want to go into. I have friends who went into the dental field. I have friends who went to veterinary field, and some became primary physicians and so on. So yes, you can do that at UC Santa Cruz, but you can also do that at almost any other school.
And then someone said, someone asked, can you do 2 or more majors at a time? I think you mentioned double majoring.
Yeah, so you can do 2 majors at a time. Like I said, you just want to be able to meet with your advisors at the school and make sure that you're able to do that. You're trying to graduate under 4 years. But I know people who have finished in 4 years and double majored, but I also know people who stayed an extra year to be able to get 2 majors or 2 degrees, basically.
And then someone asked, how long was the waiting period for you to find out when you got the job in the dining hall?
So the semesters at the UC systems were quarter. So we start late August, early September. I applied early September and I got the job in October. I remember exactly, it was right before my birthday. So it took about a month and a half for me to get a notice from the job.
And then someone brought up work study. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so work study, what that is, so when you apply for financial aid, you would be asked what if you're interested in work study, and you would always indicate yes, even though some people may not qualify for it. What work study is being able to get a job on campus and getting the budget from, or getting paid with your work study money. So you still have to find a job in order for you to receive that work study money. However, you don't need to actually get approved for work study to get a job on campus. You can get a job on campus without work study. I think there may be in more presentations when we'll go more into that. And your ETS advisor can explain to you a little bit more about that too, just because it's a whole other financial aid topic.
Yeah, July 8th. So our next session will be Financial Aid 101, and we'll talk about work study and stuff like that too.
Okay, that was all the questions. Thank you.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Paulina, for sharing. So now the last system that we're going to talk about are private and independent schools. So similar to the community colleges, I put a map on your right-hand side so you can see the private schools in California where they are located. So you can see that, you know, they're mainly concentrated again in SoCal and in NorCal Bay Area. So as far as minimum requirements or eligibility requirements for the private schools, it really depends. Each school has a different requirement specifically for a GPA that can range anywhere from a 2.0 to a 3.0. So you want to make sure that the schools that you are looking at, you do meet that GPA requirement. And again, we're here for that. Your college advisors are here to help you help you research and find the school that would be a good fit for you. Again, with ACT, we do recommend that you to take it. That will play a role in your placement classes for English and math. Similar to the Cal States and the UCs, the private schools do require you to complete your APT courses. Again, you should be familiar with that by now, and we're going to continue talking about that until your senior year. And then schools also often require you to have personal statements. Again, very similar to the PIQs that Paulina had talked about. A lot of times you can kind of pull things from your PIQs and then adopt it to the draft for your personal statements. So a lot of times you want to think of it as, you know, working smart, not hard. So putting those content and then just drafting it and molding it to fit the prompt for those personal statements. And schools also require letters of recommendation. Like Sienna had mentioned, you know, we don't want you asking whoever you're going to ask a week before. We want you to ask them within enough time. You know, 3 to 4 weeks is a pretty good amount of time for you to ask them. So again, start thinking of, who am I going to want to ask, things like that. And as far as how many, so in the Common App, which is where you get to launch, where you get to look at a bunch of schools and apply through there, there are over 800 private schools. Specifically for California, there are 44 private schools. And with that, they do have fee waivers, or they do have a fee that you may have to pay. But depending on the school, some schools may not have a fee for you to pay to apply. But in the Common App, yeah, there's actually a section where you get to apply for a fee waiver. And again, we're here to help you with the application process and all that. So, come to the College Center, meet with us, and we'll be able to help you through that. And again, all schools, all private schools are going to have a different eligibility requirement. So to determine what those are, again, we recommend you an advisor to go to your college advisor to figure out, the specific details for a specific school.
Okay, so for the application process, it is similar to the UC applications, and they're reviewed based on all of the information that you provide. However, something that you want to make a note of is that there's two different ways to apply. So you have early decision and then you have early action. So early decision means that you'll receive an early response from your school, but that you must attend. So that means that you're legally binding now. So that means that you have to absolutely go to that school. And that's if you pick early decision. Now, if you pick early action, that means that you receive the same early response to your application, but it's non-binding. So it means that, say that you think you want to go to that school, but you also have other options, you can kind of decide with all of your options. So you're not obligated to go to that one school. So just make sure that when you're applying, you're picking the right one and that you know the difference between the two.
And you can also apply regular admissions. So you don't have to pick one of these two. Just to clarify, you can choose to do early decision or early action, or just a regular application and go in with the general pool.
Okay. For financial aid, so additional to the FAFSA application that you will be filling out, some private and out-of-state schools require you to complete your the CSS profile. So that's the College Scholarship Service profile. It will help you get more money because yes, private schools are more expensive. However, sometimes there's more money available for you all. So here are some of the private facts. So for private and independent schools, sometimes you hear more expensive can mean, or sometimes you hear that private schools can be more expensive. However, like I just mentioned, that means that can also mean that there's more financial aid. Some campuses are usually smaller, so that means more one-on-one attention. So if you're someone who would like to get more smaller setting or be in a smaller setting, then maybe private schools can be a school for you, which also means smaller class sizes. So it can be, sometimes most classes are from 25 and under, which is a really good advantage because you get to know your professor one-on-one and you get to talk to them more and ask more questions, and maybe you feel more comfortable because in the high school setting, you are in smaller classrooms as opposed to a 300 student lecture hall. There's also ample resources, but this can go for all schools. There's many networking events at private schools. They allow you to start exploring and to start seeing what opportunities there are out there through networking events. There's a lot of campus involvement and it's very community service oriented. So maybe if you're involved in any programs or any organizations, community service will always be something that you will be doing with those programs.
All right, so now I'll talk a little bit about my experience at Oxy. Wait, did we have a video for these?
Oh, yeah, we did.
We did, right?
Oh, here.
Oh, there you go. Okay, you guys can play the videos first and then I'll.
I'm gonna cut this one off.
One of the things I like to talk about is when I first started looking at schools, one of my favorite things to do was just to walk around the campus by myself for like 30 minutes. And when I did this at Oxy, I just really felt at home, and everyone was just so friendly.
Oxy was just really quirky, it was really fun, all the students were really nice, and I thought that it was really different compared to all the other schools that I went to, like every single one. It's attractive to go to a small school because you want people to know you by name and you want to get to know everyone you go to school with.
Well, it's really beautiful. Obviously, it really does feel like a home. And that's just the feel of the campus because it is pretty spread out, and so you do have a lot of access to just walking around, riding a bike, but it still does, it's all close enough that it does feel really homey.
I really like the front of Keck Theater. It's like really peaceful. The grassy area right by the fountain in front of the school. Spent some time just like sitting there enjoying the glorious California sun.
My favorite place on campus is actually in Booth. It's this little, it's the music hall. There's a nice little quiet space, so it's a nice place to go and study, and then you have all the places people can practice music in, the little booths, and so you can kind of hear the pianos and the trumpets and pretty much every musical instrument in the background, so it's kind of a nice setting to hang out.
What I would want a prospective student to know about Oxy is that everyone is excited to meet you, and all like the students, faculty, anyone who's at Oxy is going to be more than welcoming. Classes are extremely rigorous and they're so rewarding. Once you're done at the end of the semester, you just feel like you've learned so much and you feel like you really got out what you put in.
The cultural clubs on campus that we have here provides for like a space to talk about certain issues that you may not get to talk about in classroom spaces, and even if those clubs don't exist, you have the opportunity to make those clubs. A lot of the professors that I've had classes with have actually helped me like get jobs. They've helped me with like letters of recommendation. They've been my advisors. Professors really want to help their students, and so like they're willing to go above and beyond what is called and asked of them. You'll walk in the quad and see people waving to one another. Again, the whole idea of having like a greater support system because everyone knows each other. My Oxy experience was very self-reflective, self-evolving, and transformative.
The last 4 years have been incredible, and I wouldn't take it back for anything. I think I chose the right school, and Oxy is definitely the school for me.
Because I've gone to Oxy, I've been able to do so many different things. I've been able to be a student athlete, I've been able to be involved in Greek life, and I've been able to be a tour guide. Everything that I've wanted to do with my education, I've been able to pursue because the students and the faculty really foster that kind of environment that makes you want to get involved in everything, and you're still able to accomplish all of it. My Oxy experience was everything I wanted it to be and more.
My Oxy experience was unforgettable.
Got it, Mom. Just don't post anymore, okay?
No more photos?
No.
Thank you.
Oh. I got it. There you go.
Hey, I'm talking to girls.
Mark, come check out the palace.
Can't. Parents, man. I'll catch you tonight, though. You gotta change, bro.
Has successfully operated for before serving both the high school and the daycare lunch markets. Some goals of the company. All of our consulting work was for a business that provides hot lunches and snacks to 15,000 kids on a daily basis. The primary focus of this business is to give kids food of high quality.
Your total blood volume is approximately 8% of your body weight expressed in
Cut. Good job, everybody.
It's time to give you a little too sorry. bring up, you know, emotions or what's going on. Really nice. Let's go again, everybody.
All right, cool. So as you guys all saw in the video, Occidental College is a small liberal arts campus. What I actually appreciate about that LMU video is that they did kind of highlight that term liberal arts. So basically what that means, and it's something that you'll come across as you're looking at private schools, a lot of private schools have like an academic focus. And so a liberal arts college is just that. Basically, the tenet is, you know, in order to be like citizens of the world, to be knowledgeable, they want you to know more than just your intended subject or field that you're studying, right? So you can kind of think of it as a general education requirement, but it's a little bit more ingrained in your time at whatever school you choose. As you guys all saw as well, for LMU, they're a Jesuit school. So some private and independent schools have a religious affiliation. Doesn't mean that you have to be that certain religion to go there, but it is something that you want to highlight or look into as you're looking for your schools, okay? So for my experience at Oxy, I really loved it there. I was on campus all 4 years. They actually had a housing requirement. I believe when I was there, you had to stay on campus for at least 2 years. They recently increased it to 3 years because, as I think some of the other presenters have mentioned, you know, when you're on campus, everything's at your fingertips, right? You're in a learning environment. So just like Sienna, I was at the library at, you know, 2, 3 in the morning sometimes. And I was able to walk to my dorm 5 minutes because Oxy is a pretty small campus, and I was, you know, in bed in the next 10, right? So I really enjoyed it there. Everyone is super welcoming. There's a term called like the Oxy bubble, and I'm sure it happens with a lot of different schools, but sometimes it's hard to, or sometimes you forget that you're in the middle of LA. And just where it's located, it is kind of like that quintessential Southern California college experience, from the buildings, the sunshine, like it just is really easy to get kind of lost in all that. But it is really awesome. For class sizes, like we mentioned, typically for private schools, there are going to be a lot smaller. I think maybe my biggest class that I ever took was 80 students, and that was a marine biology class that everyone had to fulfill for their science requirement. And then that class was split into 2 for the labs. My smallest class was probably around 8 students, and that was for one of my final classes as a senior. And that really worked for me because it was personalized attention. I'll never forget one time, one of my favorite professors sent the entire class home or to our dorms because we hadn't read. You know, in a room of 20 people, there's no way, if no one did the homework or no one is reading the material, that you're going to be able to have a discussion. And that for me was like the accountability that I needed. And so it really worked for me. Again, so Occidental College is in the middle of Los Angeles. If you have ever been to Glendale or Pasadena, or even Eagle Rock, Highland Park area, it's kind of right in the middle of all of that. And it really is a bubble. It's behind all these residential homes, and then you have this awesome campus. And so what I loved about that was that I had the flexibility to stay on campus and be in that bubble when I needed to or when I wanted to. But then it was only a 30-minute drive to come home when, you know, I had family parties or, you know, I was maybe feeling extra homesick. So for me, it was a good way of balancing these 2 worlds and kind of adjusting throughout my time at Oxy. And then again, personalized attention for me, I really think my life would be really different if I hadn't gone to school at Oxy. For we had a personalized advisor who would meet with us every semester before we registered for classes. Unfortunately, they didn't have at the time any like EOP programs or anything like that to help first generation students, but it was kind of built in the way that you registered for classes. So I had an advisor who would meet and check in to see my progress every semester before I registered. And both my sisters had actually gone to Occidental College before I was a student there, and he was also their advisor. I majored in economics first, and so he was my econ advisor. And my first year, he really sat me down and asked me, you know, why do you want to go here? Why do you want to major in economics? And, you know, what is your reason for being here? And as a first generation student, I hadn't really thought about that. And he really opened my eyes and pushed me to explore what it was that I was interested in. And so because of him, I decided to actually double major. So I majored in economics like I had originally planned. And then I also majored in sociology. But if it weren't for that individualized attention, I don't think I would have even looked into sociology, and I probably wouldn't have been in my current position right now. So yeah, that's kind of my experience. One other thing that I did want to know is the financial aid, right? So a lot of the attention for private schools comes down to cost, right? And how much am I going to pay? We actually have a student who's going to be attending Occidental College from Bell High School this year, and I believe the cost of attendance is somewhere near $75,000. And that is a lot. Right? I saw Sienna's eyes go like this. In comparison, a cost of attendance for like a UC is somewhere between like, let's say 30,000 or around there. Same thing for the Cal States, they're probably around 20 to 30,000. But the one thing that I do want to say is that with private schools, they look at your financial need. So I grew up in Southgate. My parents were both immigrants from Mexico, didn't have anywhere near that amount of money to pay for me to go to school, let alone my two previous sisters. And so they are really, really generous with not only their scholarships, but different opportunities, right? So I believe my first year, I only had to take out about $5,000 in loans, and that was living on campus. Everything else was paid for through scholarships. So most of my tuition was paid for through a need-based scholarship through the school themselves. There was a tons of different other free money opportunities that they gave me, like the Pell Grant that I qualified for, the Cal Grant, all these different options that helped me pay for school. And honestly, what I always tell my students is that you want to find a school that's a right fit for you. You want to apply, and then you look at your financial aid award letter once you've been accepted into the school and decide, okay, is this something that's realistic for me? Okay, so I want to make sure that no one ever has like that sticker shock effect when looking at schools. Okay. All right, and I think so. I answered what I majored in, and then there's another question here. Is it easy to transfer from a community college to a private school? It's very similar to how you would transfer to a Cal State or UC. There won't be a set agreement. For the Cal States and the UC, sometimes there's a set agreement in classes that you take. For a community college, for a private school, it'll be probably more individualized. But there's always really great admissions advisors and counselors from the school that you want to transfer to that can always help you and make sure that you're on the right track. And then someone asked about what other religious colleges are there here other than LMU. Off the top of my head, I can think of Azusa Pacific University. So that's a Christian school that's located in Azusa, so inland near Pomona. Then there's also Pepperdine University, who I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it's either Christian or Jesuit as well. And they're located in Malibu. So yeah, there's a tons of different campuses that are religiously affiliated. All right. And I think that was all the questions. All right, so these are the links for some of the resources that we talked about today. We'll give a general overview of the different systems. And so this presentation will be, like I mentioned, uploaded to our YouTube video or our YouTube account, so you guys can access these different links later on. And then just as a reminder, this is our first of 6 different workshops that we're holding throughout the summer. They'll all be on Wednesdays. So the next one that we're going to be covering is Financial Aid 101. So that's going to cover all the information that you need to know about what paying for college looks like, what kind of costs you can expect, and then how to kind of work those costs down to make sure that it's affordable. One thing that if you're registered for this workshop that I do want to know, this workshop will be held at 5:30. I think I just lost my audio, 1 second. Can you guys hear me? Okay, so this workshop will be held at 5:30. So just make sure that if you are planning on attending that workshop, you note that time change. This will be the only one that is held in the afternoon at 5:30, okay? If you haven't registered for it already, make sure that you follow our Google form at bit.ly/ETS summer to register for that workshop. This is how we'll give you access to the Zoom link, and also make sure that we're giving you credit for attending it so you can get the participation certificate. All right. What's our YouTube page called? That is a great question. We are just kicking it off. We'll have our advisors send out the information for our YouTube. If you've been watching our Major Monday videos, if you click on the YouTube video through there, you should be able to go to our page. Right now, all it has is the workshop, the Major Monday videos on there. There's some questions going.
So we have, do we have to register for each meeting? And so when you click on the bit.ly, the ETS summer, you want to make sure that you click for every workshop session that you're interested in attending. If you already clicked all of them and you registered for all of them, then you're good. You'll be getting reminders about those meetings before they happen. If you haven't done so, you can always go back and register for any future sessions. Let's see if there's any more questions. We did have a question about nursing for UC. I didn't forget. We'll get back to that at the end.
I know a few of you added or came in a little bit after we had started. So if you haven't already, please make sure that you're putting your first and your last name and the school that you attend in the chat box. This is how we're gonna choose our winner for our drawing, and then also how we're keeping track for the certificate at the end.
Okay, I guess that's pretty much it. So we can go back to the UC question. So someone asked, do all UCs provide nursing school? So to my knowledge, I believe it's UC Davis, UC Irvine, and UCLA that offer nursing programs. If you want more information about those programs specifically, you can reach out to your ETS advisor. You can also do some research on your own, but I believe those are the 3 UCs that offer nursing. So once again, I'll add it in the chat, but I'll add the schools that I listed. So UC Davis, UC Irvine, and UCLA for nursing. If you guys have any more questions, please add them in the chat now. Someone asked, what is the best community college for nursing? So I wouldn't say, I don't know that I can say the best one, but I do know that El Camino College, Santa Monica College, Long Beach City College all offer nursing. It's pretty competitive to get into these programs. So we can definitely help you do some more research as far as which community colleges offer nursing programs and what are the requirements for you to apply. And then someone asked, when is the best time to start applying for financial aid? Okay, we're getting a lot of questions, sorry. So I'm like trying to keep track of the questions.
I can take that one. For financial aid, the application will usually open around October. In next week's workshop, we'll kind of highlight the timeline that we usually give our students to work on that. But to answer your question, you can start working on it in October. We typically tell students that we want to make sure that they're working on their college applications because they're due in November, whereas the FAFSA and your financial aid isn't due until March. Okay.
And this would be for if you're a senior. So if this fall you will be a senior, then we'll be helping you apply for financial aid in the fall and the springtime. So that's only if you're a senior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so another question, what are some good schools for film? I know USC, it's a private school, has a great film program. Cal State Long Beach also has a film program that I'm aware of.
LMU also has a good film program.
And then let's see. And then we have another question. Are there separate schools within a UC, like the School of Medicine, or do we have to apply separately?
You want me to answer that? Yeah, you don't have to apply separately for like the School of Nursing or the School of Education. And it depends on each UC what they title it, but that would be in the decision of what major you decide to go to. And this is for your bachelor's degree, so it would be a little different for your master's degree.
And then we have, what are tips for deciding on schools and majors?
I can answer that one. So the thing that helped me choose my school was really knowing whether you want to go to a big school or a small school, whether you want to stay locally within your area where you live, or you want to branch out further. And yeah, that really helped me narrow it. I was lucky to actually tour Humboldt, and once I did that, I knew automatically that was school for me. And as far as a major, I was like, okay, I'm good at math, so I'll go ahead and major in math. But I don't. Now I'm going into school counseling, so it's very different. So as far as choosing the majors, I'm just look at your strengths, and again, talking with your ETS advisor to see what are your interests, what do you like to do, and hopefully sometimes that will align with a major that would be best fit for you.
Okay, and then let's see, someone asked, will we be talking more about out-of-state universities and colleges? So currently we don't have a session on out-of-state universities or colleges. However, if you do want some more info, then you can ask your ETS advisor specifically through email or Remind, and they can help you with that process of starting to explore those campuses. A suggestion, you can also do virtual tours of a lot of these campuses right now. We did have a link that we were sharing before with students, but if you want to get that link, then contact your ETS advisor, and they can help you virtually tour campuses that you're interested in. Let's see. Okay, I don't think we have any, oh, we have another. Does anyone know of any architecture schools?
I think there's an architecture major at UC Irvine and probably Pomona as well.
I think Pomona.
It might be engineering. We're not sure, but definitely reach out to your college advisor, and then they can help you do the research and provide you with some of that information.
Okay. Okay, so I don't think we have any more questions. I think that was it.
All right, well, thank you everyone so much for joining us. It's been a great session. We're really excited that we had so many participants. Remember, our next session will be at 5:30 next Wednesday, and that's gonna cover financial aid and kind of give a general breakdown. If you haven't registered, remember to follow our bit.ly link. And if you want to recommend this to any of your friends, they can still register. There is time. Remember, this is open to anyone. They don't have to be ETS students, but if they'd like to join, they can provide us their information, and we'll be more than happy to reach out to them. All right. Yes, and don't forget to reach out to your ETS advisors. They are working really hard and working throughout the summer to make sure that you all are getting your questions answered. So if you want to even just check in with them, see what you could be doing, feel free. And then one last thing, I want to give a special shout out to our 3 presenters. They all just graduated from their master's program for school counseling. So want to give them a shout out. They did awesome. And they did a really great job with this presentation, so thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Don't forget to register for the upcoming workshops if you haven't already. And we'll be announcing the gift card winner on Instagram, so follow us.
Yes, while you all are still here, I know you guys are dropping off very momentarily, but we do actually already have a winner. The student is Kevlin from HP, so congratulations. Awesome on that, good job. We'll go ahead and send you an email to the one that you registered for this for, and then either Paulina or Marvin will be reaching out to you as well on Remind. Thank you.